Hello and welcome back to Bio for You. This is the part 2 for video for chapter 7. So now we're going to focus about 7.2 methods in gene cloning. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, so here is gene cloning. Alright, before we go any further discussion about gene cloning, okay, let's recall that previously you have learned about tools in gene cloning, i.e. what are the tools required to enable this gene cloning process. Okay, now in this video, we're going to learn about how it's going to be done. Okay, gene cloning. Alright, the product by definition, it is the production of exact copies, i.e. clones, of a particular gene or DNA sequence using genetic engineering techniques. Okay. So again, this is an overview or to show you the steps in gene cloning by using a plasmid. So basically, we have a plasmid. We also have in this plasmid, it has many sections or segments. This segments is MR, okay, ampicillin resistance gene, and then first we get to cut open the plasmid, and then we get to insert the gene of interest, and then we're going to transform it into the it will then later become recombinant plasmid and then transform it into the host cell, and then we're going to screen for the correct recombinant DNA, and then we're going to amplify it. So that's pretty much an overview of how and what is this gene cloning is all about. Okay, steps in gene cloning by using plasmid as the vector. Okay, so there's the first step is isolation. Okay, i.e. the isolation of vector and targeted gene, and then cleave or cut, and then insertion of targeted gene into plasmid, transformation, and then amplification, and last but not least is screening. So I've created a mnemonics for these steps. Okay, so what are the mnemonics? We're going to check on the next slide. So here is the mnemonics for steps in gene cloning, which is ICHITAS. Okay, ICHITAS. What is ICHITAS? I is for isolation, C is for cleave or cut, okay, I is insertion, T transformation, A amplification, and last but not least S is for screening, ICHITAS. Okay, we will look into a slight detail of each of these steps. Alright, the first one is isolation. Okay, isolation of vector and targeted gene. Okay, so what is the vector? On previous video, we have discussed about vector, the characteristics of a vector, and there are many types of vector instead, but the one that we're going to study in detail for this video is plasmid. Okay, so both targeted gene, or i.e. gene of interest, and the vector, the plasmid itself, are isolated. So the first step is isolation. Kita asingkan dia, kita ambil dia. Okay, so ambil daripada mana? So for the gene of interest is being isolated from the donor cell, and the vector or plasmid from the potential host cell. Okay, the targeted gene or gene of interest are amplified using PCR technique. PCR is polymerase chain reaction technique, i.e. when we harvest or when we have isolated one, and then it is amplified. Mari kita perbanyakkan dia menggunakan teknik PCR. Okay, so the second one is cleaving or cut, the targeted DNA and plasmid DNA. So both of the DNA need to be cut, i.e. the gene of interest and also the plasmid itself. Okay, so the targeted or donor gene or the donor gene and plasmid are cut by using the same restriction enzyme. Okay, not literally exactly the same enzyme per se, but the same type of restriction enzyme. For example, if we are using EcoR1 to cut for the plasmid, we also need to use the same. We need to also use EcoR1 for cutting the gene of interest or the targeted DNA. And this will produce the same sticky ends or blunt ends. Therefore, the gene of interest and plasmid are now having complementary ends. Maknanya sama, ngam, matching. Okay, why and how can we achieve this same complementary ends? Because they are being cut with the same type of restriction enzyme. Okay, next. Okay, so we have discussed the first I, and then we've discussed C, and we're now discussing the second I, which is insertion. Insertion, as the name suggests, insert. Kita nak buat masuk something. Of what? Of the targeted gene into the plasmid. So the targeted or donor DNA and the vector plasmids are ligated. Ligated means they are being they are being joined using DNA ligase. The product is now called as recombinant DNA or recombinant plasmid. So this step is being shown in this diagram here at this part. So again, originally we're going to isolate the plasmid from the bacterial cell. We're also going to isolate the gene of interest from the donor cell, and then we're going to we're going to cleave the plasmid, and also we need to cleave and isolate the gene of interest from the donor, and then we're going to insert it into the insert the gene of interest into the plasmid. Okay, we need to use the DNA ligase. Next, T, transformation. Okay, not transformation, i.e. transforming the DNA plasmid or recombinant plasmid into something else. No, transformation here means that we are putting it into the host cell, into the recombinant bacteria. Now it is called as recombinant bacteria. Why? Because the bacterial cell has now been modified by being accepting the recombinant plasmid. So the recombinant DNA is transformed into a competent host cell. Competent means suitable host cell. The host cell will then receive or takes up recombinant DNA through the transformation process. So that is the fourth step. So isolation, cut or cleave, insertion, now transformation. Once the transformation process is successful, and then we need to amplify it. Dah jadi kita kenalah banyak-banyak kali, tak perlu nak buat the same process banyak kali. Okay, so amplification process occurs where the host cells with recombinant plasmid are allowed to replicate. So from one host cell with the recombinant plasmid will mix to become many more. And last but not least, okay, ICITAS is the screening process. Okay, how would you know which colony contain recombinant DNA or recombinant plasmid? Okay, that's a little bit tricky because we are dealing with microorganisms. We are dealing with bacteria. How do we know which bacteria contains the successful transformed recombinant DNA? How do we select the correct E. coli and not the other one, or not the wrong one? Okay, so that's what we're going to learn in the next part of this video. So of course, it is called as the it is called the screening process. Okay, screening process. To identify positive clones, i.e. the white clones. Apa itu white clones? We will discuss this soon. Okay, using blue or white screening technique, we're going to plate out the transformed bacteria on a nutrient medium containing ampicillin and a sugar called X-Gal. Okay, bacteria nutrient medium ni, it is the medium where you grow the bacteria on the agar gel. So dekat agar gel tu ada apa? Kita campur sekali dengan antibiotic ampicillin. Also we're going to provide with the nutrient of sugar called X-Gal. So the X-Gal in the medium is used to identify plasmids that carry the foreign DNA, okay, only bacteria that have the ampicillin resistance plasmid will grow. Okay, just now I've mentioned to you in the agar gel medium, mana bila kita grow ataupun kita biarkan this E. coli dekat atas gel dekat dalam petri dish. So dalam gel tu kita juga campur, we also mix with the ampicillin antibiotic. We also have the X-Gal solution mixed together. Okay, so the function of this ampicillin, the antibiotics on this agar gel, is that it will kill all the other microorganisms. It will kill all the E. coli, it will kill all the Staphylococcus aureus and whatever bacteria that can be found on the surface, except the E. coli that is having the ampicillin resistance gene. Maksudnya this particular E. coli dalam plasmid dia ada gene genetik yang kebal daripada antibiotik ampicillin. Of course, this genetic is being inserted into the plasmid. So when we do this, we are what's left on the petri dish that will grow and survive only the bacteria that has the ampicillin resistance gene. Okay, bacteria with plasmids lacking of targeted gene will stain blue. Maksudnya bakteria dengan plasmid yang tak ada targeted gene ataupun gene of interest tu yang tak berjaya masuk tu akan berwarna biru. This is because when the beta-galactosidase hydrolyzes the X-Gal solution in the gel, and this X-Gal solution contains lactose, glucose and also galactose. Okay, so plasmid that did not take up the DNA fragments, okay, have functional LAC-ZAC genes and able to metabolize X-Gal and turn blue on medium. Okay, can you please still recall on the previous video that I've mentioned, okay, that the multiple cloning site where we're going to cut and we're going to insert the gene of interest lies along the LAC-ZAC. Maknanya terletak pada tengah-tengah LAC-ZAC gene. So bila kita dah potong this plasmid on the LAC-ZAC genes, means we have cut the LAC-ZAC genes and we make the LAC-ZAC genes becomes non-functional. Okay, so for those plasmid that's not being cut, maknanya tak berjaya dia potong tu, alright, so plasmid tu dia akan survive because dia still ada ampicillin resistance, so dia still grow. So sekarang ni yang dia grow dekat atas plate tu ada dua jenis. The plasmid also with the ampicillin resistance, tapi dia tak ada targeted gene yang dimasukkan. Satu lagi plasmid, of course dia ada ampicillin resistance sebab tu dia boleh survive, tapi yang ini yang ada targeted gene dah masuk dekat dalam dia. Yang ini yang kita nak, yang ini kita tak nak. So antara dua ni macam ni kita nak pilih dia, kita tengok warna dia. Okay, the one that colors blue yang berwarna biru, maksudnya dia adalah plasmid yang masih lagi tidak dipotong dan juga tidak dimasukkan dengan gene of interest atau targeted gene. Kenapa dia warna biru? Because the functional LAC-ZAC ni, okay, the functional LAC-ZAC genes dia akan producekan the enzyme beta-galactosidase. So this enzyme beta-galactosidase dia akan hydrolyzes this X-Gal solution menjadikan dia berwarna biru. Bermaksud koloni tersebut, koloni maksudnya sekawanan bakteria tersebut akan appears berwarna biru. On the other hand, bacteria with plasmids containing targeted gene are white because they lack of the beta-galactosidase. Why they are lacking of the beta-galactosidase? Because the bacteria with plasmid having non-functional LAC-ZAC genes. Kenapa non-functional LAC-ZAC genes? Because LAC-ZAC genes-nya kita dah potong dan kita dah masukkan something else. Okay, so hence it cannot produce beta-galactosidase and hence it cannot metabolize the X-Gal solution and they akan remain white color. Okay. So on this slide, okay, I'm just showing you this slide to make you understand better. So this part here, from here until this end here, this is all the LAGZ genes, where along this LAGZ gene lies the MCS, multiple cloning site. So when we cut here, we are cutting somewhere along the LAGZ gene, kita potong kat sini, and then we insert DNA. Of course lah, then after the successful insertion of this DNA, gene of interest, making the LAGZ gene ini becomes incomplete. Gene ni dah potong masuk ni. So this gene now becomes no more functional. Originally, the function of LAGZ gene ni adalah untuk produce beta galactosidase. Since we have this DNA being inserted, this LAGZ gene has been disrupted. Has been distorted. It is no longer having its function to produce beta galactosidase. So bila tak ada beta galactosidase, dia tak boleh nak hydrolyzes the X-gal solution. So dia akan berwarna putih, remain berwarna putih. However, if the plasmid, okay, the original plasmid, dalam banyak tu ada yang tidak terpotong dekat dia punya LAGZ genes-nya, since they still means they're still having functional LAGZ genes. So the LAGZ gene will produce beta galactosidase. Beta galactosidase tu akan hydrolyzes the X-gal solution, tukar dia kepada warna biru. So warna biru kita tak nak pilih, warna putih yang kita nak pilih. Kenapa kita tak nak pilih warna biru? Sebab dia tak ada DNA of interest that is being inserted. Buat apa kita nak biarkan plasmid yang tidak ada DNA of interest kita? Buang masa sahaja. Okay. So this diagram also shows you basically the same or similar diagram what I've shown just now. Okay. So this is the actual this diagram shows you the actual photo of how we do this process, how we do this screening process. Okay, on this petri dish we have this agar gel. Kita ada gel dekat atas petri dish ni yang mengandungi, yang kita dah campur dengan antibiotic ampicillin and also the X-gal solution. Okay, so bacteria without recombinant plasmid will stain blue when the beta galactosidase hydrolyzes the X-gal. So mana kita nampak warna biru ni, semuanya adalah E. coli yang berjaya survive. Kenapa dia berjaya survive? Because the plasmid still contains the ampicillin resistance gene. Okay, that's why it survived on this ampicillin medium. Whereas this antibiotic ampicillin ni dah bunuh semua bakteria-bakteria lain, termasuklah yang korang bersin lah, yang tangan korang tak kotor, tak bersin semua tu. So dia dah bunuh semua bakteria lain. So yang ada appear dekat atas petri dish ni hanyalah E. coli, colony of E. coli yang ada dia punya plasmid with ampicillin resistance gene. However, those plasmid ada yang berjaya takes up the gene of interest, ada yang tak berjaya takes up of gene of interest. So yang tak berjaya take up gene of interest, man, they still have the functional LAGZ genes. So the LAGZ genes will produce beta galactosidase. So the beta galactosidase akan hydrolyzes the X-gal, and it will convert and it will mix the X-gal to turn up as a blue colony. So manakala on the other hand, bacteria with recombinant plasmids are white because lack of beta galactosidase. So these are the white ones. These are the white colonies. So later, when we want to further amplify and grow this bacteria, we are only going to scoop. Kita hanya ambil yang putih, koloni-koloni putih saja, grow on the next agar gel. Then the process will be continue. Where we only select this white colony. We don't select the blue colonies. Okay, so this diagram will summarize you the entire process and even the purpose of this DNA cloning. So maybe you guys start to think about, kenapa lah nak susah payah nak having this cut here, cut there, insert here, insert there, put it here, put it there. So if I were to tell you this, a very simple usage of this, the importance of this gene gene cloning process. Okay, remember that we have a patient who requires insulin injection. So kita nak ada insulin tu. Daripada mana datang insulin tu? Okay, we don't take those insulin from a human donor. Okay, we never heard a human donate its insulin. It is just not this is not a practical way of doing it. Okay, back then we also use insulin from animal sources, but then with this recombinant DNA technology, we are able to manipulate bacteria E. coli to produce the insulin. So how do we make the bacteria E. coli, okay, which is this one, to produce insulin? By inserting the insulin gene into the plasmid of the E. coli, and we put back this recombinant plasmid into the host cell. Then we are making the host cell to produce insulin. So during the process, once we have this successful recombination process, then later for the next process, for the harvesting purpose, we just make clones, many clones of this E. coli, even with the recombinant plasmid, and then it can be used for further amplification and for further production. Okay, so here are a list of many other purpose of this recombinant DNA or this gene clone technique. So some of it is gene for pest resistance inserted into plants. Mana kita ada copies of gene ni kita masukkan dalam pokok supaya pokok ni lebih tahan kepada penyakit. We also use this gene to alter bacteria for cleaning up toxic waste or oil waste on the surface of the sea. Okay. And in terms of humans' health, there are many other purposes such as human growth hormone treats the stunted growth, protein dissolve blood clots in heart attack therapy, and etc. So that's why this recombinant DNA technology is very important and is a very essential tools in medic world. Okay, Alhamdulillah, that will be all for this chapter 7. Okay, I hope you guys can digest the information. Okay, so again, please like, subscribe this channel and share this video with your friends. Okay, so wishing you all the best of your luck for your study. Okay, and see you on the next video. That's all. Thank you.